Indeed, I think that Greece has entered a new phase now, and this is something that is demonstrated in all the relevant indicators, not just the GDP growth rate, which has been positive for the first 2Qs of 2017, but also all the sectoral indicators demonstrate that there's a strong trend towards growth. And this is something that we expect to be shown in 30Q even more. So we think that Greece, after 7 or 8 years of recession, is now on the safe track. It's now on a page which is completely different from what was happening in the last 7 or 8 years. And this means that both in 2017, the annual growth rate will be high, will be approximately 2%. But for 2018, the expectations are even higher. So we expect that in 2018 we'll have a very steady growth. This is a trend. This is something that is now being recognized by everyone, actually, both domestically but on the international stage as well, and this is very important for the promotion of investments in Greece. The discussion that we have initiated about the new production model has to do with the fact that, according to our analysis, the problem of Greece, it's not just a fiscal problem. It's also a problem with the production model that had been established in the country for the last 30 or 40 years. So what we are trying to deal with, what we're trying to address here, is a dual crisis. It's a fiscal crisis and also it's a production crisis. That's why we are trying to use all the different funding sources that we have currently at our disposal in order to change this production model. We are trying to make Greek entrepreneurship much more extrovert in order for them to be able to have a stronger presence in the international markets. We are trying to engage into collaborations with international players in order to boost the startup ecosystem here in Greece. We are also trying to link the work that has been done so far, and it's a very important work that's done in the research centers and the universities of Greece, with the actual production, with the real economy, with the Greek SMEs. This for us is a very important step towards returning to growth. So these are some of the key, let's say, some of the main elements of this new production model. Greenvest is a term that has been used by our Prime Minister and reflects this huge priority that we give towards attracting investment to Greece. We strongly believe that this can only be achieved through cooperation, through engaging into collaboration with our immediate neighbors, but with the broader region as well. That's why we have taken very concrete initiatives in order to promote cooperation between the countries in our region, such as the South EU Summit, which we think, and it has already proved actually, a very important initiative to bring together 7 countries from the EU, which I would say face similar difficulties and challenges, but also have the prospect of playing a very key role in the advancement of EU in general. At the moment, we are in a much better situation than any time in the last 7 or 8 years, because now we have the full framework of legislation currently in place in order for the banks to be in a position to tackle the key issue that they have to address, which is the NPLs. The legislation now is there with the introduction of the OCW, the out-of-court workout, which is currently being implemented, and the first few months have been quite positive. We strongly believe that now it's up to the banks themselves to clear their books, meet the targets that have been set until 2019, ambitious but realistic targets, so that they can play their very important role in terms of financing real economy, financing Greek enterprises, and being a key player in the overall effort to bring the Greek economy back into growth. Having said that, we are also making very significant efforts with international partners from the banking sector, like the EIB, EBRD, and other international institutions, in order to create more liquidity for the Greek businesses, for the Greek enterprises. And also there's a lot of effort that has been put in terms of establishing and promoting the work that is done by cooperative banks in Greece. This is a sector of the banking industry that to us is very important. We think that the cooperative banks can play a very important role, especially for local communities, for local economies, and we are making every effort possible in order to support them. The New Development Bank has been a project that we've been working on for the last 2.5 years. We think that it's one of the great successes of our government for the completion of the second review that we managed to include in the Eurogroup statement of the 15th of June, the provision for the creation of the New Development Bank. This is an instrument, this is a tool that we will be using through this new entity in order to, first of all, identify funding gaps in the Greek economy that cannot be covered through the systemic banks or through other funding sources. So the Development Bank will play a key role there in order to fill these gaps. And additionally, the Development Bank will work as an umbrella in order to use it as a vehicle for all the different financial instruments that we have created in the last couple of years with international organizations, in order to ensure that they all fall under the same roof, they all follow the same rules, and they all service, let's say, the same objectives. So this is something that for us it's very important. We have engaged into discussions with many similar institutions in Europe that have the experience and they have the know-how of operating in a similar manner for decades now. So we strongly believe that in very soon, in a few months, we will have a new development bank in place in Greece, and this will be another very positive sign in the interior of the country, but also internationally, that Greece is back on track, that Greece is getting back into a growth path, and that there is a strategy and we have the institutions in order to make this growth being this time more sustainable than ever. The equity fund is one of the new financial instruments that we created in the last 1.5 years in collaboration with international institutions, which in this particular case is European Investment Fund. The idea for this new financial instrument as the equity fund is for them to play a dual role. First of all, to attract more investment in the Greek economy, so we can cover the disinvestment that took place in the Greek economy during the crisis. That's the first reason why we are creating those financial instruments. And the second very important reason is that through these instruments we can fund in a more, let's say, targeted way special needs of the Greek economy, special types of enterprises, special sectors that cannot be funded through other sources. The equity fund is something that, to be honest with you, we are very proud of. It's something that we put a lot of effort in its creation. We work very closely with EAF, and we managed to create a fund which at the moment has already a budget of 350 million euros, and we expect this amount to increase even further in the months to come through the participation of other international players as well. And the idea is that through this fund, which according to EAF, it's at the moment the largest of its kind that's currently operated in Europe, and actually the first of its kind that is implemented in Greece. We are particularly targeting the funding of startups, the funding of new projects, of new companies, of new entrepreneurial, I would say, attempts, which are struggling at the moment to find, let's say, funding from normal sources like the banks. Through this equity funding mechanism, this very important part of the Greek economy, and it is very important because we strongly believe that there's a lot of potential in Greece for startups, for more entrepreneurs to try to implement their ideas and their projects, but also because this is a vehicle, this is a tool through which we will be in a position to reverse what we call brain drain. EU is currently facing, it's not just another set of challenges, it's not just another cyclical, let's say, crisis. It's an existential crisis for EU. So I strongly believe that EU needs to engage to a very serious and open discussion with its own citizens about its future. This is something that has not happened in the last few years. We were always very vocal about this need for EU to get into a discussion about the main social challenges and economic challenges, like unemployment, like the exclusion of large parts of the European population from the political sphere, and of course, and about cohesion and about solidarity between the member states. These are issues that have to be addressed. We are very pleased to see that in the last few months this discussion has been initiated. Our government will remain very focused in its efforts to promote the discussion and to bring it to the center of the overall European debate. From our side, and now speaking as a representative from the Ministry of Economy and dealing with the European structural funds, for us it's very important to support cohesion policy. Cohesion policy has been in existence for more than 3 decades now. It has provided a very important tool in order to promote cohesion between the member states, but also between the regions of Europe, a tool that has been very tangible with EU funding covering many economic and development needs of the countries and the region. In cooperation with other member states, we want to ensure that cohesion policy, which is one of the, let's say, founding values of European Union, will remain one of the most important tools in order to promote social, economic and territorial cohesion between the different member states and the regions.